Thanks very much for taking the time to join me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No problem at all. Now, can you give us some background about what type of business Bambini is and when it launched and how it's grown over the years?
So Bambini is a privately owned childcare company. We currently have 7 services located around Victoria, and we are celebrating our 12th year in the childcare business.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. And you've been with the business yourself for a while, or?
I have around the company for about 6 years and physically with the company for nearly 4 years.
Perfect. Now, pre-COVID-19, because that's what a lot of the discussion is going to be about today, pre-COVID-19, what were some of the marketing challenges that typically the business might have faced?
Look, prior to the virus coming into effect, for us, it's been mostly about saturation in the market and having so many competitors located so closely together, and a lot of other competitors replicating what we have done and the approach that we've taken within the industry. We were one of the first to look at modelling ourselves with a Reggio Emilia approach to curriculum and environments for the children, and that's very much been the heart of our business and the way that we've done things for many, many years, which did initially set us apart from everybody else. But they do say, I suppose, that copying is a form of flattery.
They definitely do.
And we have now got the situation of a lot of competitors doing very similar things to what we were offering. The fact that we now have so many services physically located so close to us, when originally 12 years ago in many of the areas we were the only childcare centre, and we now have anything up to a dozen others around us, which of course is sharing the pool of children a lot further than what it used to be. So it really became essential for us to ensure that we had a very, very clear message for families, and that we got that message out as clearly and as much as we possibly could, to attract as many of those families to us as we could. And it certainly has evolved, particularly over the last 5 to 10 years, with things like Google ensuring that families are far more informed about early childhood and about children's development, and families have become a lot more invested in the first 5 years and wanting the very best start for their children, has meant that what our families were looking for changed. It changed a lot. So we've had to make sure that we moved with that, and that our messaging and the information that we were providing to the families was now enough to be able to encourage them to then come and do a tour and have a conversation with us. So it's had to be a lot more educationally based, and we've had to make sure that we've been very, very strong in our messaging about our curriculums and the benefits for children 0 to 5.
Sure. So communication's a massive part of it then.
Oh, huge. Yeah. And it's also become very much about convenience. So you need to be able to access that information very, very quickly, needs to be readily available, but it also needs to be in manageable chunks as well. So nobody has time to sit down and read a novel anymore. They just want all of the key information as quickly as possible. Give them everything that you think they need for them to make a quick decision about whether they then continue on and contact you and come for the tour or not.
Sure.
So it's also been about making sure that we capture people's attention and hold it for just the right length of time, which has been quite challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this day and age, everyone's got like 15 seconds available, I think.
Yes, and I suppose when you've got so much to offer as well, it's a little bit difficult sometimes to work out what to prioritise and what you think are going to be those core things that families really do need to know, because there's so many layers to education and so many layers to what our services actually offer. So it's really, really challenging to make sure that we get a nice cross-section to give people a really good profile.
And I guess one of the challenges there as well would be different families want different types of information.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
yes. Yeah, very true.
Very tricky. Now, let's fast forward to the past few weeks. At what point did you start to think, this virus might start to have a serious impact on the business? And what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, look, originally when we started to see news bites coming out of China, just after Christmas, where, people's ears started to prick up a little bit, our families who worked in the healthcare industries were coming to us and saying, look, have you heard information about it? We're starting to receive information. Our understanding is that it's going to come our way at some point. We just don't know when. We just had the very general chatter, I think, which was out there in the community for the first sort of month or so. And it wasn't really until the federal government announced the stage 1 restrictions, stage 2 restrictions, that people really started to say to themselves, okay, this is actually serious, and clearly it's going to be around for a while. And so we're probably going to have to make some adjustments in our lives and our children's lives for us to be able to get through the next sort of 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So really for us, from the start of March, it's started to really show an impact for our industry.
Sure. And from an operational point of view, we'll set aside marketing for a second. How did the onset of all of this start having an effect on the business? Was there, I'm imagining that it'd be a progression of changes that would take place within the centres?
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose as more and more information's come to light for everybody in general, we've had to respond and look at the way that we were doing so many different areas for families, for staff, for our suppliers, for our local community groups, for the children in relation to what we could actually offer within the curriculum moving forward. There were many, many things that had to be modified or even placed on hold just to make sure that we were minimising the opportunity for risk for the families and for the children. It's ever evolving, and as we're becoming more informed and I suppose more confident and comfortable with the virus being present, we constantly review every aspect of the business, ongoing, daily.
Sure.
And of course, every service has its own very particular needs as well. And the impact of the virus has actually changed a little bit from service to service, depending on the area that they're in, the families who we have coming to us, the industries that they work in as well. So we've also needed to make sure that we've had a bit of flexibility there to be able to adjust some of our things operationally to be a bit more individualised to each site, rather than just taking a blanket approach across the company.
Sure. And I guess that communication would be in play as well that we spoke of before. You've got to keep that constant contact up with your clients.
Yes. And look, anytime there is a major announcement, excuse me, anytime there's a major announcement on the news, we're very aware that that's going to generate conversation and questions for our families. So we try to make sure that we have information going out there to them as quickly as possible after the initial announcement's been made. We're trying to provide as many links as we possibly can for families to go and enable them to do their own research so that they can make their own minds up about what sort of approach they want to take for their family and for their children, because it is a very individualised thing. We have staff on hand to have conversations with them. Our senior management team are talking constantly with families. It's just been a case of everybody just working out and determining what the actual impact is for them, what they're comfortable with, and what they think they can maintain for the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Now, I think one of the things I've been most impressed with at Bambini is the pivot that you guys are in the process of making to the online content delivery. Can you tell us a bit more about how that came about and what it actually involves?
Yeah. Look, one area that we've always invested a lot of our time and our energy is relationships. Whether it's between the children and the staff, the children themselves, our communication with our families, our connectedness, we've always been very community-based. So when something like the COVID-19 virus came about, we all know that that was the one area of our lives that's been impacted the most. And so we have gone from having that daily interaction with all of our families and very strong daily interaction, either face-to-face or online, to having to really minimise that. And so what we realised very, very quickly for a lot of our families is the only opportunity that they had left to communicate with us was online, because they weren't able to attend the service or they weren't comfortable or confident to bring their child back into the service. But they were still seeking that connectedness and that communication with us. And we were still wanting to provide it for them. But then it was a case of working out the best way to be able to do that ongoing, while still being able to give them the level of communication that they were used to, which is how the online became such a major focus for us. because we had had such great interactions with our families through our Instagram and our Facebook pages, and we felt that this was obviously an area that the families were indicating to us that they were comfortable with, and we had already established some sort of connectedness at that level with them.
Sure.
So we just wanted to explore the opportunity of just, I suppose, enhancing that and thinking about how we could still offer support to the families, even though we can't physically see them on a day-to-day basis.
Sure, right. So is it actually, do you create classes that they can access via YouTube, or how does it actually work?
Yeah. So what we're looking to do, it is going to be like a class format, but it's classes not only for the children, but also for the adults as well. So there'll be opportunity for families to engage together. So there'll be activities or experiences or things that they can do together online. And then there'll be opportunity just for the parent to be able to participate. And then there'll be something for the children as well to be able to participate at their level. What we've tried to do is base it on the interests and the support that we've seen in our services that families have indicated that they're looking for. And then we will pitch it to those interests that have been shown to us, and then just really warmly encourage our families to participate and then provide us with feedback. And what we're hoping is that it's going to become a very open line of communication, and moving forward, the opportunities we provide online are going to be ones that families have actually said to us that they're seeking, or that people, the groups are telling us that that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So we're quite open to where the platform's going to go. What we do know is that we will start with the children as the first and foremost focus, and then we'll expand things out from there once we start to see how that progresses.
Well, I guess there's no better way to get feedback than from your own client base.
Exactly.
They know what they want.
Absolutely. And we would normally do that anyway. We do seek out our families consistently for feedback on anything that we do within our services. So we didn't really see why that should change just because we're going online.
Yeah.
So, our families are very used to that open form of communication and being encouraged to provide the feedback. Yeah. So it's just another way to be able to keep that going.
I like the fact that there doesn't seem to be like a fixed destination that's like, okay, we're going to start off in this direction, and depending on what we hear from over here and from over here, then might adjust the route accordingly, So
yes. Well, that's the beauty of childhood, is we never ever quite know what path it's going to go down, and so we don't really
even adulthood sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, life is like that, isn't it? And that's what we love about it. And I suppose that's what we love about what we do, is that every day is so different, and you never quite know how it's going to end up. So we wanted to take that same similar approach, and we often say to the children that you're only really ever limited by what you think you're able to do. So we want to just open it up and make it endless, and we're very excited to see where this ends up.
Sure, me too. Now, the well-known Melbourne-based brand consultant and former marketing professor Mark Ritson, he's recently stated that he believes that as a result of COVID-19, brands currently belong to one of three groups: flex, fix, or freeze. Now, I was thinking about it, and I put Bambini in the fixed category, I think, which means you're unlikely to be kicking any major goals in the next few months. However, you are in the position where you can implement changes that will strengthen your operation, something that you're already doing, obviously, with this initiative. Can I ask, what would your advice be to other businesses that find themselves in this kind of middle fixed category?
I think be confident enough to just reflect in detail on what it is that's made you the company that you are, and then look at ways that you can continue to promote that within the community. I suppose inform people, capture people's imagination regardless of what's happening around you. And I think you also have to be confident enough to, I suppose, just take a risk.
Yeah.
Take a risk, put yourself out there, and do it in as many different forms as you can. And you have to be prepared to go with whatever happens. But be confident in what you've got to offer, and be open to changing how you offer it.
Yeah. So double down on your core values and amplify the message to your target audience, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And I suppose believe in your own product. Know who you are and believe in it. Absolutely.
Now, it's currently the morning of, it's just It was the morning here in Perth. You're over there in Melbourne. 16th of April, and I believe this new content delivery initiative is happening live next week. Is that right?
It is indeed.
Right. How are you feeling? You're nervous? Are you excited?
Oh, super, super excited.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, your birthday's coming. It's going to be great. Look, I think we're just really excited about the possibilities. There are just so many possibilities associated with this. And we have so many members of the team that we know are going to be able to contribute to this journey. And we know that we've got a lot of fabulous families who are really ready for it and looking forward to it. So we're very, very confident that we're going to start something really quite special from Monday.
Yeah. Sounds good. Now, would you mind if I checked in again with you at the end of next week just to see how it's all going?
Yes, love to.
Yeah?
Love to have a chat. Yes, absolutely.
Great. That'd be awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time today. That's been fantastic. And best of luck with the launch next week.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
No worries. All the best, Megan. Cheers.
See you. Thanks. Bye-bye.